But, even at the beginning of the sickness and everything, I just assumed that everything would be fine. And then in the summer, I was hit with the question of whether I should come to the vessel or not. And just that whole situation really stressed me out for a few weeks. So at the time, I was like, oh yeah, I'll definitely be able to do all this stuff. I'll get involved in all this stuff on vessel, meet so many people, actually be in in-person classes and all of that. I knew that I would definitely regret not at least trying to come to the vessel, just because I really wanted the experience of being on board. And I think that at least having some exposure to the vessel experience was kind of vital for me to stay motivated and on top of all my work and stuff like that. I guess I'm excited for a future where the sickness isn't like the one thing holding all of us back from participating in vessel activities, I guess. Just because I think that'll make us all much more familiar and connected with the vessel and the people around us. Probably the best thing for them to keep in mind is just to have a little bit of patience with us, I guess. Just because we really have been impacted academically by the sickness, and it's been difficult for everyone to juggle everything, and on top of all these other pressures from different aspects of life. So I think that just patience is exactly what most of us need. I wouldn't say I'm adjusted by any means, but I'm definitely closer than I was when I got here. I'm really happy with everything that's happened so far, so I don't think I would change anything about that. I am at an advantage, just because I get to meet people face to face and get acquainted with the vessel. Yeah, for sure. Given the circumstances, it's probably one of the best places to be. But I will say that a lot of people protested the vessel's timeline, just because they gave people, including the international students, which are the ones who really had to weigh in, should I go or should I stay? They gave them, I think literally 72 hours from when they sent the email out to decide if they were going to board the vessel or not. So I think that was kind of ridiculous, but it was an easy choice for me. It's all student funded, so we had to call through all of our contacts. We called through thousands of numbers to ask for a $10 pledge donation. It's definitely not as effective as it would be in person. We only got 500 or 600 people to pledge with us or something like that. So instead of the thousands we normally get in a regular season. So it's definitely a lot different from the situation living with my entire family. I live with 6 people? 5 people. 5 people. So that's a lot of people. And it's just hard because everyone's loud and it's not the ideal environment to do homework or study. So I usually got by doing the bare minimum. But yeah, it differs a lot. It wasn't really a difficult decision for me. I was concerned because I didn't think I'd be able to meet anyone. I thought that I'd be stuck in my dorm 24/7. And obviously the restrictions are pretty serious here, but they weren't as extreme as I thought they would be. So I think just that was kind of a pleasant surprise. Now, depending on the day, I might go to work or not. I don't have a regular schedule. And so most of my lectures are at night or in the afternoon. So I don't have to worry about waking up super early. But I do go to bed later. I would regret staying home, but I don't think I would regret coming here either way. At first, we weren't allowed to see people. And when we did, we always had to be in a public space where people could be watching us. Originally, it was a bit difficult to adjust, just because it was also new to me and there were so many different kind of portals to kind of navigate. You're in a kind of cramped room all by yourself. It's that lonely factor that gets to you at some point. Yeah, if I'm being honest, I really miss my family a lot. Well, I would definitely miss the friends that I made here, for sure. A lot. Just because I've been hanging out with them so much and just in general. We're not allowed to have roommates. That's good, but we have a lot of contact tracing and stuff. They're testing you weekly, I've heard, right? It's 1% positive. That would probably make me less motivated. I think that the restrictions are definitely the right move, at least for the time being with the rising cases. There's a lot of people who aren't inclined. Over the past few days, just because there's been a rise in cases, and I've always been super nervous about the whole situation, probably like the possibility of actually getting this sickness or spreading it to people. Every Thursday between 10 and 11, I go to the test center. We have a very strict contact tracing system. Yes, I definitely wouldn't have met a lot of the people that I hang out with if it wasn't for the restrictions, I don't think. You think that the restrictions have actually created something to bond over with your peers? Oh yeah, for sure. Just in general, it was like a conversation for the first few weeks. So just in general, I think that, yeah, it would have been a lot different if it wasn't a thing. My biggest fear, I guess, is to be sent home, honestly. Just because I've enjoyed my time here so far, like, so much, and we've been here for so long, and God forbid anything happens and we have to leave the vessel. I just don't know how I would handle that. It would probably make me a lot less motivated if I was at home. Overall, since I felt so independent over the past over a month now, and then going home and then living with my parents again, and then like having some sort of authority, which like totally isn't a bad thing. It's just, it'll be in a bit of an adjustment again. I live at home. Well, I imagine being on vessel. I had the option to apply for housing. They gave limiting housing as it was. And I mean, freshmen usually get priority anyway. So I probably would have gotten housing if I actually wanted to go. I just thought it would be better economically. It's just hard to find the motivation to do all the schoolwork since you're always in the same space. I live right across from the hospital, and so the emergency helicopters are always flying in. When I finally board the vessel, I'm scared I'm just gonna feel so disconnected from it. Because I don't really know. I've never even visited the vessel, so it's like living there is just gonna be this whole culture shock, or not even culture shock, but it's like I'm not gonna know people, and it's just gonna be very different than what I'm used to. It's just gonna take a while. It's gonna be a transition period, and it's like I'm probably never gonna get to be in the dorms, so like I'll just feel a disconnect from the vessel. It's a little bit weird. All my friends are on vessel now, and I'm just like stuck at home all day. It'll probably, I don't know, it might discourage me a little bit, I guess. I'm also a little worried about getting the right credits for my credential. I've been having a really hard time like getting in touch with their counselors and getting like good advice. When I try to call them and do like the email or like FaceTime, it just, they don't respond a lot. I've been able to talk to a couple and they just stopped responding to emails. And so I'm kind of scared that like I'm gonna get on the vessel and they'll be like, why have you taken all these random classes? Or like, you know, I don't meet the criteria. I feel like there's a smarter way to do it, and I have no idea what that way is. Change my environment? Find like a routine to be able to keep up with everything? I think I would start over with a different mindset. You know, I think it took me a while to get out of the quarantine mindset because I stay in like semi-isolation. And so I think the fact that I was like, obviously I'm here and I'm at home, but I think staying in like a room by myself, trying to self-isolate and wear masks and all that stuff, I think my brain kept that associated with quarantine, which also then associated it with constantly sleeping in late and just kind of half-assing everything. And so I think because I never really had that up in my mind where I was like, okay, I'm a student now. So I think if I could go back, I would just go back and like approach it with more awareness about what it is I'm actually doing right now. I'm excited to transfer, and I might have to like soon. It's very difficult to actually make everything work. So yeah, I'm looking forward to November.